Hello everyone, singer-songwriter James Hardiment here, and this is a new episode of my podcast. It was weekly, but coming back now. I've actually just moved. It's called Bridge to the Seaway, and basically it's about myself. I'm a singer-songwriter, as I've already mentioned in previous episodes, and probably this one I mention it a lot. I'm also a filmmaker. I do a lot of different things in the community. I'm always out and about. I've been living back in Cornwall now, the area, for about just over 3 years. But I was here in high school as well. So anyways, let's see what's going on my blog, which I have actually started writing in again because it had a bit of a break. I've actually, like I just said, moved into my brand new apartment. I am now in Cornwall instead of Longsu. And for those that don't know, Cornwall is a town in the province of Ontario in the country of Canada. And yeah, it's a wonderful little border town. There's lots to see and do here, and as well as the surrounding local areas, and that's some things I do explore in my podcast, in my travels around the Seaway. And that's basically what this area, this region of Ontario is known as, the Seaway, because of the shipping canals and the St. Lawrence River. So there's a lot of history to that, and I do delve into that in some of the episodes as well. And usually at the end, I'll have a little bit of an interview portion with an artist friend, or maybe a member of the community I'm working with. There's lots of different people I meet from all walks of life, and it's just very interesting to see what's going on, not only in our area but around the world, because again, I have done interviews with people in America as well as other parts of the world. Some are yet to be released, and I hope you stick around, enjoy. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this podcast to everyone that you know, so they can be better informed about positive things in the community. I don't really delve too deeply into like politics or anything like that unless it's a historical context. It's really more of an entertainment and maybe historical and special interest sort of a podcast, right? So again, try to keep things PG at the very least. Might be the odd joke, but PG. So the first article, it's actually probably the second article I wrote since coming back. Actually, let's go to the first one, shall we? Yeah, so in November 5th, 2023, I wrote this article about mixing things up. So there's a picture of both my albums. I'll probably throw something in a graphic so you guys can get a better idea of what they look like. But I've just released physical copies of my brand new album, Rescue Me. I've done signed CDs, and I also have my old album Wine as well for sale. And you can contact me, just DM me if you live in Cornwall or the area. I can probably get you a copy, and I'm going to have an online store coming up soon, and this is kind of what this article is all about. So for those new to my blog, my name is James Hardiment. I'm a British-born Canadian singer-songwriter based near Cornwall, Ontario, Canada. I've been back in the area for many years now. I've invested a lot of money this summer on speakers, mixing boards, microphones, and more, so I can finally perform my original music to a live audience, which I did. It was fantastic. I've had a great reception so far. I can't wait to do some more shows in the coming future. Be sure to check the website www.jameshardiment.com for updates on where I will be next. You can usually find me at Rendezvous Restaurant. I do karaoke there Wednesday, Saturdays typically, not all the time, but I'll try to post something on the section of the website right at the top in the menu, a little hamburger menu, whatever you call it, that does have my live performance schedule. I'll keep you guys posted on that. So anyways, my style, as I mentioned in previous blog posts, is a combination of pop, rock, alternative dance, and Italo disco. I was lucky and honoured to perform in front of audience the past summer, both in Martintown, Ontario, and also a charity event in Cornwall, Ontario, Canada. I have more shows in the works, but I spent the rest of my summer trying to finish mixing my album myself. I had about half of it mixed up in Ottawa. My super talented sound engineer, Josh Hart, a guy I hired to do my projects, he mixed my first album, and it's not my first time mixing music. However, I like to get a second pair of ears on the project. Typically, I was also lacking the equipment to do so for a while, because I was basically, if you go back a few episodes, I tell you more in detail, but I basically create my music using a combination of tablets, phones, and sometimes I use computers as well. But at the time, I was doing most of it on my actual iPhone, building all the songs and even recording the vocal tracks. And then he would go a step further, and he had more advanced software than I did, because it comes kind of pre-built on your phone. You have GarageBand, but there's also like better, more professional versions with more options and features and more customization if you get yourself a Mac. There's software called Logic, and there's other programs as well. I go into more detail about that in previous posts, and I may go into more details again in the future as well. But anyways, yeah. So I finally bit the bullet and invested a significant amount of personal funds to a new laptop, mixing software, actually a MacBook, plugins, video editing software, and more gear to improve the overall quality of my work. And now that's starting to pay off in a big way. The album's complete. As of last week, when I wrote this in November, the CDs are made, and the process which I was heavily involved in the creation of. I had an awesome local print shop. It was a place in Somerstown, Ontario, near the airport, the landing strip. Print my CD labels. They are called P&L Printing, and fantastic job, very fast turnaround time. I couldn't recommend them more for my labels. Nice glossy paper for the artwork, and I decided to go with a thin jewel case, and it's sort of a vinyl or record style. It is a CD, but it looks like a record. It has the grooves, and there's a little label I had custom made to go over top of the centerpiece. Like it almost resembles a little 45 record, if you remember those that were in the jukeboxes back in the day. Singles were also released on that type of a format. Yeah, so the turnaround time was lightning fast. The end result still gives me tingles. As of writing this, I've sold over 10 copies in the first few days, which for an indie artist that does almost all of its marketing by himself, it's a pretty awesome achievement. And on top of that, by now, the combination of both albums, I have sold over 30 copies. And again, I'm not pushing this super hard right now. It's sort of like in the background. I'm working many different jobs, so it is kind of satisfying and cool to see people, receiving this very well. And I do have some brand new merch I just finished. I have a t-shirt. I might show you that after I have some pictures. I might have a picture just pop up here in the corner, and you can take a look at that. So those are going to be for sale as well. And I will say special thanks to Yaffa Goeli and Modern Primitive Cornwall Square in Cornwall, Ontario, Canada, for allowing me to sell my CDs and photography at their open house event on Saturday, November 4th, 2023. I think I've done one since then. It was really fun showcasing some of my work to the shoppers that passed by. I spent the better part of an evening burning my CDs one at a time using a vinyl style of disc. Last week on a Thursday evening, it took about 6 hours to create 40 CDs with one burner. I set up a quiet corner of Jack's Pub in Williamstown, which is a great little restaurant, by the way, and bar, which I hope to write a piece on soon. A lovely spot nestled just outside of Cornwall. Their food is so good, the staff so warm and friendly, and it doesn't seem as dramatic as the city bars can be sometimes, which is a nice change of pace. It feels good to finally complete this album, another achievement to be proud of in my life, which I tried to make the most of while I still can. So many people I've known over the years are no longer with us anymore, some unfortunately younger than myself. I try to work on my passions, dreams, and help others with theirs along the way. So yeah, sorry to get so somber for a moment, but it is a true reality. Many people I've known that were even younger than me have passed away, so that is always a driving factor in creating content and things that I enjoy doing, my art and other things. And I just want to say that I actually got myself it's called a duplicator, so it allows me to make the CDs, DVDs so much quicker now. So what took me essentially 6 hours to do 40 CDs, I can now do that in under an hour. It's very quick, very fast. I can do 5 discs at the same time, which is very helpful. And that's my fridge coming on, by the way. This is all in my brand new apartment. This is a nice little bar here. I think I'm going to do some in-person interviews at some point with the 2 chairs set up that I have going. There's another stool I moved out of the way, but yes. And there's also some pictures you can see. I'll put them to the side. You can see my album and the inside and out, as I said. And wine is currently selling for $10 if you want the physical copy, and Rescue Me is currently selling for $20. Contact me if you like a copy on social media, email. All the links to my socials at the top of my website as buttons. Be sure to like, follow, share, and subscribe to my channels. Thanks again, fans, for your continuing support. I genuinely mean that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much, because as I mentioned before, a physical copy makes me more revenue than streaming. Not to hate on streaming, I love streaming as well. It's very convenient, and it allows you to get a chance to hear something for the first time in a legal way, where the artist still gets compensated. However, it's like I make dollars versus pennies, so it is very awesome to see you guys doing that. And like I said, I try to sign all my merch as well to make it more personal and worth it, give it more value as well, right? Because I really do appreciate the fans that I have and continue to make more fans, thankfully. And again, I'm very appreciative of that. So now I'm going to go to the other article, that I posted. This one was on January 2nd, 2024, and it's called Come Mr. DJ Afro Italiano Replay. So if you don't know me, I say this every blog post. I am so sorry if it drives you nuts, but again, for those coming in for the first time, that's the reason. If you don't know me and it's your first time reading the blog, my name is James Hardiment. I'm a British-born Canadian singer-songwriter, music producer from the town of Rochdale. If you aren't familiar, in the United Kingdom, my hometown is very close to the city of Manchester, England. Most people have heard of the world-famous soccer team Manchester United, or they're located there, as well as their equally famous rivals, Manchester City. At this point, I've spent over half of my life in Canada, however, the majority of it close to the small border city of Cornwall, Ontario, which is close to New York State as well in the US, right on the border. It's in Canada. The US is right on there's a river, and we're right across the river. There's pretty much there's a First Nations reserve, and then across there is pretty much New York State. So yeah, I've been writing original music since I was a teenager in high school, penning a variety of catchy 1980s inspired tracks for various school projects. My first serious pop album was released in 2017 called Wine, which infused my love of the 80s, 90s with that 2010 sound as well. It was recorded up in Ottawa, Ontario, which is actually the nation's capital city of Canada, for those that don't know anything about Canada, at Hart Studios, which is now Josh Hart Recordings. The music video for the track has 45,000 plus views since writing this article on YouTube. Recently I've started to dabble with DJ experimentations. I purchased a nice semi-pro controller deck, a Pioneer DDJ FLX4, which is incredibly easy and versatile to use. Most DJs I've seen at local bars don't even use the decks on a typical night. They just leave the playlist running. I mean, it depends on the night, obviously. But the controller is more of a hands-on on remixing and transitions live, which is something that's always very interested me. It's I've grown up listening to a lot of EDM as well, from like the 2000s into into the 2010s. Really, the 2000s is what I grew up with, and into the 80s as well, because a lot of that 2000 stuff, artists such like Eric Pritz, Call on Me, was samples of 80s tracks. So I ended up digging deeper and discovering the original song that was remixed. Waiting for the Star to Fall was remixed by Sunset Strippers, which was the name of the project, dance project. And basically they would just like kind of loop the chorus line of an 80s song, and they would just sort of add a beat to it. It was very good, very clever. I love it. I love it so much. It was what got me into the 80s even further. So kind of a cool origin story, I suppose. But yes, So I could go into so much detail about it, but for those who've never DJed before, the controller allows you to play digital files which you own through compatible software, and use the device to simulate a record scratching, twist knobs, add echo, reverb, looping effects. All the cliches of dance music over the years can be done live, and I'm still learning all the terminology. As with most of my musical journey, I am self-taught. So I kind of just grab an instrument and I start messing around with it till I can kind of figure it out. And in the recording process, I can loop it, I can fix it, I can correct it as I build my music, right? And I've gotten a lot better over the years at actually playing. I can probably do some live now, playing as well. I have actually practiced quite a lot. Again, not perfect. I'm not Mozart by any means, but again, it is fun to build songs because I have all these ideas all the time. And with the phone, I can just be like, oh, beep, 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 play this sort of tune, and then loop that, add that layer, continue, play the little keyboard with my fingers on my phone or on my tablet. It's very fun. So my DJ playlists that I've been building include a variety of 80s dance music from Europe and Africa, mainly South Africa, but other parts as well. I love to play this stuff to people here because most of the locals seem to have never heard of the artist, yet many were big names in their respective countries. Considering Canada has so many people moving from all over the world, some folks around here might even remember some of these tracks from old television programs, or perhaps the tracks they danced to in a discotheque or a dance club back in the day. My favorite genres are as follows: Italo disco, bubblegum, South African bubblegum, Afro funk, and synth boogie. So you can find many playlists compiled on websites such as YouTube. I've been discovering music using the platform since I was a teenager. I've been in talks with a variety of different venues in the area to perform some DJ sets in 2024. Still looking for more. So if you are interested in getting a DJ or even just my live music, my own music, and I can even remix my own music as well. So like I said, if you are looking for me, I have about 28 original songs, actually more than that now, but I have 28 on the 2 albums combined. And basically, if you get in touch with me through the website, you can send me an email, shoot me a message. We can book a show if you're in the immediate area, or if you're far away, you're willing to pay for my travel costs as well as obviously for the performance. I have about, I could do about 3 hours, I could do more than that obviously, but I have 3 hours of my own stuff with a little break in between, a little intermission. And we could go to, well, as many hours as we need to, because again, as long as I have the proper licensing to use the music that I don't own, like I said, I could DJ all night long as well. So yeah, get in touch, guys. I am around, I am available, and I'm very approachable. Thank you. So yeah, so all my socials are bottom of the site. That's all for today, folks. I'm off to work now. DJ Jamesy Marinero, which was sort of a play on it was my sort of DJ name, playing with the Italian idea. Anyways, Italo disco. But yeah, it's basically dance music that originated in Italy back in the 1980s. I've talked about it many times because again, it is my favorite genre. So yeah, I put all my details at jameshardiment@outlook.com to email, and I also put a telephone number as well for local guys to get in touch. So yeah, that's pretty much what I posted on the blog. I'm going to be posting an article tonight. I'm not going to be reading it out loud right now because I don't have it written, but essentially what it is I have released it to streaming platforms as well now. As of January 24th, I'm now on Apple Music, Spotify, and probably Amazon Music. There's quite a few that are all entailed with the service that distributes for me. So feel free to stream my music and let everybody know about it. That you can like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And again, shirts, I will be, I'll show you real quick before you go. So this is actually a large. Sorry, it's a bit creased. I just had it folded, but yeah, it's the Rescue Me album cover. Oh, there's a bit of lint on there. Oh, get rid of that. Bit of fluff. But yeah, the Rescue Me album cover it was made up in what was it, Lancaster, Martintown? No, was it Williamstown? I guess the address technically Williamstown, place called Mr. So and So. They did the first batch for me because I wanted to get some sizes ready to go, and they did a fantastic job. And again, I'm not endorsed by any of these people. I'm actually paying them to use their services, but I just want to shout them out because it might get them some business around here as well. And I'm very well established business. But again, like I said, it's just me doing my part for my community.